So Noble Failure is he's just experimenting a lot, I think, really, and just not worrying too much about the kind of the consequences and not getting too kind of het up if it doesn't sort of make it, you know. And I think that's, I mean, that for us is kind of like borne out of the fact that we do this magazine every week, and so there's a lot of, you know, we have to kind of like constantly come up with ideas and ideas. I mean, you know, our structure of the magazine is kind of quite flat and quite kind of bland. And so you're kind of looking, and quite deliberately so, really, and like, you know, you're trying to sort of throw these little moments of kind of interest into into a kind of structure which is kind of quite kind of inert, and so you know you fuck up a lot. You know, you don't necessarily kind of you know, you don't get it right the first time, and sometimes you don't get it right at all, and sometimes actually that's better if you don't get it right, weirdly. But yeah, so it's just sort of this. You know, I think I can only really kind of see it through our kind of prism, really, and from the magazine. And there's no kind of definite destination, I think, a lot of the time, or definite, you know, there's definite kind of place that you're heading to in a lot of graphic design. You're just trying to find a kind of an interesting way through problems, and that, you know, and I guess that's sort of about, you know, failure, you know, just kind of hitting walls, or, you know, and just like sort of, you know, this guy, our work kind of describes it as like a maze. You sort of like, you're bumbling around a maze, and you've just got to kind of just accept the fact you're going to bump into a few walls, and, you know, and then, you know, but you might still get lost in the maze. It's a terrible analogy, really, but kind of like, you know, it's you know, but, you know, it's kind of, you know, you're just trying to not to get too worried about. You know, I mean, and it's also this idea that kind of, which I read at the end of last year, which I thought was good, was just like constant beta. You know, you know, there's no one really knows what they're doing anymore. You know, but you're just, you know, but to give yourself this kind of to assume that there is an end point, I think is not a good idea. You know, I think you just got to just sort of, you know, what you're doing is mutable, and it is this thing that is going, you know, it's this constantly sort of evolving set of problems. And you know, I think that, you know, that seems to be sort of something that's kind of held, you know, that more people, I don't know, it just feels like that's a sensible way of thinking about things, that, you know, no one really knows. I mean, in my business, like media, it's you know, for like last 10 years or however since the internet's come along, it's just, there's just been this idea that we're all fucked, basically, and like, you know, that our jobs are dead, and we don't, you know, what we're doing doesn't really mean anything, you know. And I think that's just such an unhelpful way of just being generally, because, like, you know, there's people still buy magazines, people can consume media all the time. It's just like media is sort of evolving and kind of changing a little bit, and you know, and I think it's far too much that people have been kind of assuming that, you know, we have to do this, or we have to have a website, we have to have this, we have to have an app now, again, we've got to like throw everything into that. And maybe you do have to do that, but you know, but for there to be kind of to consider that the only option, or to consider that the end game, or I think is really dumb, really. You know, I think, you know, and I think that, you know, people still enjoy reading magazines, people still enjoy the kind of experience of being kind of taken from one idea to the next, and there's a lot of kind of comparable media sort of experiences, if you like, that kind of that could benefit a little bit from that sort of thinking.